Gamers, gals, non-binary pals, after a very in-depth discussion of VTuber groups that may or may not have problematic members, we are back to our roots, back to Yu-Gi-Oh! All my homies love Yu-Gi-Oh! I love the card game that I am no longer banned from. You guys know I'm unbanned? I'm free! Can't wait to see you guys at YCS Vancouver. Anyways, we have an MBT video that talks about why the TCG might not have been being great being unbanned from. So Master Duel is killing the TCG. Let's give it a quick little watch. I want to hear what my favorite little white boy has to say, and yeah, let's get straight into it.
It used to be that being into Yu-Gi-Oh meant one thing: playing the card game as well as you could, as often as you could. Everyone from Robbie Cole to Asian Eyes had developed and nuanced opinions about the cards, strategies, format, and gameplay of the card game we all share.
All I'm gonna say is that it was absurd that there was ever a Yu-Gi-Tuber whose name was unironically Asian Eyes. Like, really? Asian Eyes? With AZN? I don't know, 2010 was a different time.
That's no longer the case. These days, being into Yu-Gi-Oh can mean anything, from I tune into MBT's streams to watch him watch Progression Series, a show that meant a lot to me during COVID, to using the infrastructure on yugioh Pro Deck, I play Arena with some of my Discord friends, to I haven't played the game in decades, but I love updating the memes on Master Duel meta. The death of the TCG monoculture has grown the community immensely, but it's also cost something. And as I ruminate on what that thing is and why it might matter, I find myself coming to the same conclusion over and over and over again. Master Duel is destroying the TCG. In a myriad of ways, through a myriad of forms, the continued success of Yu-Gi-Oh's online component is coming at the active detriment of paper play, and I want to talk about it.
All right, let's see what the white man has to say.
Before we get into anything, I want to make one thing extremely clear. I am not trying to denigrate individuals who play Master Duel. I'm not trying to imply that Master Duel is not real Yu-Gi-Oh! Or takes less skill or is even less interesting. The last thing I'd want is for people who find joy in Master Duel to feel wrong for doing so. This isn't meant to pit two communities against each other. And in many ways, it's meant to dispel the myth that there are really two communities at all. Got it?
I'll say it right now. Fuck Master Duel. The game sucks. You know what else sucks? The TCG. Fuck the TCG. That game double sucks. Both of these games suck for their own reasons. You know what I'm saying? Like, asking someone to choose between the TCG versus the Master Duel is like asking someone if they want their balls or cock stomped on. Yeah, they're different, but it's gonna feel awful either way. You know what I'm saying? By the way, any bitches who own Doc Martens willing to stomp on him, hit me up. Yu-Gi-Oh sucks in general. That's my go. Yu-Gi-Oh has a lot of issues, but people trying to say that there is one better than the other is, you know, it's kind of like saying, would you like $1 or $2?
Let's get started. This past weekend was the NAWCQ. I went, I had my invite, it was fun. Indianapolis is a really nice city. I told everyone all week that it felt like it was built in a more optimistic time.
Indianapolis is the fakest city I have ever been in. Indianapolis feels like a city that was designed to only host conventions. You know what I mean? It is a city where the only thing it feels like it was designed to was host an event and maybe have something around the area to do that is kind of okay for tourists. Like, it's kind of cool, but you know, what is there to do in Indy? Name one Indianapolian landmark. That's right, the Golden Gate Bridge. Anyways.
We were surrounded by skyscrapers, dozens of stories tall, most of which had been completely hollowed out. In fact, our Airbnb had once been a department store before being mostly converted to some extremely skinny two-bedroom setups. When you walked outside of your room, you could still peer down into a labyrinth of escalators and old perfume stands. The irony of 2,000 Yu-Gi-Oh players huddling together in an old building that hadn't been lively since the early 2000s was not lost on us. Anyway, the event was a blast. In the last few years, Konami's really stepped up their game with respect to the YCS and WCQ experience. They've poached commentators from other esports, figured out how to run hype mid-roll, and even let the winner assign the lens of the camera after he took it. Oh, and also they'd set up a Connect game where you could run around an obstacle course as Karibo. Good stuff all around. I did okay. I started out at 5-1 before the wheels fell off. Fatigue and a couple of curveballs messed with my mental, and I misplayed my way out of
Why the fuck are we why are we watching a game theory video?
That would determine if I stayed in or got drunk at a barcade, a Midwestern delicacy, was against none other than the one and only Team Samurai X1. On one hand, I hate playing friends. It sucks to win or lose, but on the other, I love riffing. Sam and I have known each other for years, so when I stepped up, we shot the shit for a little while. Suddenly, he got...
Wait, it's the deck box! Why does everyone have the deck box? PC white sleeves, cloth mat, dice, pro jersey, roly on the wrist. Where's the calculator? I know it's somewhere. Where's the fucking TI-84?
For years. So when I
That's
stepped
why
up,
he
shot
won.
the shit
So
for a little
true.
while. Suddenly he got serious. He looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I'm really happy you're doing this," motioning at my deck. "What do you mean?" I asked. "This," he said, rolling his head to indicate everything. The WCQ, the VIP area. It's important. It's important to play like this. He meant the TCG. "You've got to," he said as we shuffled up. "You've got to." He spoke like he was trying to convince someone. Me, maybe, himself, the community. The WCQ was huge. 2,800 people showed up, each sporting an invitation hard won from another huge tournament. This puts it on pace with one of the biggest WCQs of all time, but I couldn't help but feel small. Unlike other WCQs, to me, this one felt like the 2,800 people in this room were the last people playing the TCG on the planet. Over the past few years, I've watched almost all of my friends, lifelong yugists, and a significant number of my colleagues on YouTube stop playing the TCG altogether. As
Team Sam is very correct. Yu-Gi-Oh! For the most part is a pretty dead game, and the only thing that really gives it any sense of community or, you know, like cohesion together is the idea that people do have to go to a place. People have to go to like a locals. They have to go to a regionals. They have to go to a YCS, a nationals, or whatever. They have to share a physical location with other people and interact with them. That is one of the things that makes Yu-Gi-Oh! A very unique and wonderful experience. It is one of the reasons why I don't really like playing on Dueling Book, or I don't really like Master Duel. I don't like the idea of just having this soulless, text-based, no interface, no connection whatsoever. Like, you're just playing against pixels. A lot of what makes Yu-Gi-Oh! Really special to me is the fact that I have a lot of friends and a lot of my early career as like doing what I do, which is like, you know, production and whatever. A lot of it stemmed primarily from Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, you know, I was working for Farfa. I was working for, I think it was basically only Farfa before I started working with other people. But, you know, it was an opportunity. Like, you being able to meet people, being able to interact with people, that is what formed a lot of friendships. It's what's formed a lot of opportunities for me. And it is very depressing to know that a lot of people are starting to, for the most part, because of a lot of Konami's decision making, just either move away from the TCG or Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole. And I think that's very depressing. And I think that, you know, even though people can say like, oh, you know, I still go to you know, YCSs and regionals or whatever. I think that for the most part, a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh's lifeblood and a lot of what makes Yu-Gi-Oh! Like Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the idea that people within a community, within a region, are able to regularly meet up in a space and play Yu-Gi-Oh! Together. You know what I mean? Like, people are able to go to a locals together. That's why I feel kind of weird calling people in like the Bay Area, you know, like part of the community, if they don't ever show up to locals and all they do is hang out at home and play like Dueling Book. Because like at that point, like what separates you from, you know, a person from Maine who may be flying in to like Anaheim to play, you know? My nose can't handle some regionals. Thank you, for show.
Content creators, the latter group has pretty substantial data as to what's working, what isn't, what people are watching, and what they aren't. And the picture is pretty clear. The TCG just isn't what people want to watch. DBG's down, Yassine's down, Pac has completely shifted his focus to Metafy coaching. Even the competitive TCG creators that are seeing massive growth right now, Lucas Sacco, GG Yu-Gi-Oh!, are struggling to crack 10K on views. Big names like Sam occasionally put out deck profiles to the tune of a third of their normal viewership, and 10-minute testing still doing okay, but I'd hardly call it competitive content.
That's true. Most competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! When it comes to TCG content, a lot of what's kind of formed as the primary thing to do as a Yu-Gi-Oh! Player is, again, way back in the day, pre-Master Duel, was to play Yu-Gi-Oh! As best as you can, as much as possible, because it was all we had. And that's why back in the day, competitive content was pretty good. But now, like MBT said, there's a massive fall off just because you know, a new option exists that is relatively fun as fucking Snake Eye format Millennium can be, where, you know, a lot of channels have just shifted away from Yu-Gi-Oh! Metagames entirely and are now just, here's a series, here's a wheel, here's me jerking off, here's GoonTube. It's Malice now. Fuck. Oh yeah, I forgot. My fucking bad. I didn't realize that Malice is fucking full power. And yeah, it is a very interesting shift away from it all, and it is very interesting that hyper competitive content, for the most part, is now way further away from the formative norm that is normal Yu-Gi-Oh content relative to all other Yu-Gi-Oh content. You know what I mean? Like, competitive Yu-Gi-Oh content used to be like the norm, and now it's just this very black magic cult that you have to be giga dedicated to Yu-Gi-Oh to even be on. Because again, like, even a Pack, who is mainly a competitive channel, like, all he does is fucking Metafy coaching now. Outside of, you know, like, making $1 trillion, a fucking SC Johnson. Anyways.
Is exactly one competitive TCG player who's putting up numbers, Josh, and half his fucking
I made that channel!
Master Duel. As the monoculture begins to deteriorate, as Yu-Gi-Oh players become a looser amalgamation of individuals who like Yu-Gi-Oh instead of explicit TCG players, there are financial consequences. If you haven't been paying attention to the price of product recently, it's not good. Individual cards can command triple digits of money for a playset, but the most recently released core set is rotting on the shelves for cost, not MSRP, cost. Opening packs is quickly becoming a thing of the past. Why chase product to open if you're just occasionally going to show up to locals with a pet deck? The tack-on effects for OTSs are dire. They can't sustain a business with products rotting on the shelves. The final nail in the coffin for paper play came earlier today. Epic Games, along with some other Yu-Gi-Oh distributors, revealed they had received guidance requiring them to phase out Time Wizard at the regional level to be replaced with Time Trial, an anachronistic format that basically amounts to a fucked up mix between the TCG and OCG ban lists at a specific point in time, with every card that's received an errata having that errata, and Master Rule 5. This change was attempted once already and received such severe backlash from the community that Konami was pressured into reversing. But that reversal was very specific and intentionally left the door open to do literally exactly this. Why are they changing Time Wizard, a grassroots development by the community that's brought thousands of lapsed Yugists back into the fold? Well,
because doesn't make money. Sorry, dog. Konami has, unfortunately, with the end of, like, quarter century sets being, like, the norm to have come out within, like, the past 2 or 3 years, for the most part, Konami no longer has any reason or any way to make money off of Edison anymore. They've already reprinted a bunch of old stuff. They've already printed a bunch of, you know, high rarity ways to, like, play old decks. Like, you know, you could play fucking Black Wings in Edison, like, as full QCR, or you could play, like, you know, QCR Caiuses or whatever. It doesn't make money, and also in a way cost them money. Exactly. The rarity sets have an entire 3 QCR slots stolen by retro cards, made them much worse than they could have been. That's also true. It's like, if the Konami wants to make a TCG set, if they want to make retro cards, they are going to take away spots that can go to TCG players needing specific reprints. And, you know, Edison players might buy those singles, but those singles are going to be extremely cheap. Like, for example, do you know how much, like, QCR Stardust Dragon goes for? It's like $3. At the same time, advanced/modern players for Yu-Gi-Oh are not going to feel very incentivized to open, like, quarter century Stampede 2, because what the fuck is in that set? You know what I mean? It's all retro slop. Quarter century rare.
Because you can't play it in Master Duel. This is where it all comes together. As the community moves on from competitive content, as OTSs are unable to push product, and as paper decisions are being made with the online client in mind, we may have to face facts. Master Duel's just a little too good. It's becoming increasingly clear the future of this product is going to be inexorably tied to Master Duel. We will play the side formats they prescribe, we will craft cards instead of purchasing them, we will watch their slick, readable client instead of dueling book. Now you might be thinking to yourself, good. Instead of total confusion about what's being played, where, and why, we'll soon have a single client that encompasses all the ways you're allowed to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Instead of streamers complaining about ass traps, they'll be able to find something they like. And all it took was totally annihilating a paper player base. I think that's a trade-off that Konami's okay with. It's hard to look at the amount of money Master Duel makes every year with no overhead, no distributors, no production costs, and not immediately do everything you can to go all in on it. It's even possible doing so will save Yu-Gi-Oh! That it'll become a household name again. A game everyone's familiar with and can play at their leisure like fucking Fortnite. There was a leaked conversation between a shareholder and Konami a few months back that expressed frustration that Master Duel players weren't becoming paper players, that they wanted a way to shoo digital-only consumers to their IRL loot boxes. Rather than resolve that issue, I think Konami has actually made the opposite calculation. Paper play exists as a mechanism to entrench individuals into the Yu-Gi-Oh IP, and when they want to play with their friends online, they'll download their incredibly popular gacha game. To be clear, even if these trends continue, I don't think this is the end of TCG. A worst-case scenario for me results in the TCG operating with the same legitimacy as Duel Links, a profitable enterprise just lucrative enough to sustain itself, but one which is also wholly ignored by the wider player base. Cottage industry for meta-fi Andes. So, who cares? If the worst comes to pass and paper events and products become totally infrequent, but digital's thriving, then what's the harm? After all, it's still Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, Keegan of E3 Yu-Gi-Oh! Fame posted a series of tweets today that really resonated with me. In them, he claimed that the reason he started his sister tournament series, the R-Bets, was because Yu-Gi-Oh! Means more than just playing the game. It's an opportunity in an increasingly atomized and lonely world to leave your house and hang out with people you don't know.
That's my fucking goat right there. E3, I may have been really tired when I saw you at TwitchCon Vegas, and I may have seemed like I was a whiny bitch the whole time, but goddamn, that's my fucking goat. Like, again, a lot of what makes Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Is not just haha, play game, because otherwise we'd all be playing fucking Dueling Book or YGO Pro or... Does anyone still play Omega? Is that a peeps? But for the most part, like, Yu-Gi-Oh! Having a face-to-face community is what makes a lot of games truly magical. I can kind of compare this to like Smash Melee, in the sense where we're unlike 4 or Ultimate, where those are games with primarily online tournament circuits, and, you know, locals don't really exist for. Melee, for the most part, for most of its existence prior to netplay, is a game that was only really experienced at the local in-person level. Because, you know, Melee is a fucking dog shit game on a dog shit client on a dog shit console. So, as a result, you know, you're kind of forced to go to a location with a setup if you do want to get reps in, because, you know, online play just didn't really exist yet for the most part. It was crazy to think about that optimized net play still doesn't really exist. In part just because it's so new, and also because Melee is so dog shit of a game on like the mechanics and coding level. But I guarantee you, like, when you think about the Smash 4 community and like the pedophiles it has, and the Smash Ultimate community, and how like disconnected and shattered and uninteresting it feels, when you think about the Melee community, you can immediately think of like 10 or 20 names that immediately come to mind, like Five Gods, Leffen, that's kind of it. That one guy who plays Donkey Kong, the Captain Falcon guy, Wizrobe, yeah, that's him. Rest in peace, Mango, by the way. But Sonic guy, yeah. But you guys can get the idea where there are massive benefits to having a tight-knit community relative to here's a profitable game that makes money. And I think that the benefits of having this sort of community are things that cannot ever really be bought with money. You know what I mean? I mean, you can buy them with money. It's called putting more money into the TCG. But you guys get the idea of, like, you can't really put a price on forcing people to hang out with each other. You know what I mean?
Can't deny it's more convenient to play online. You can get up to piss, watch Vsauce in the other monitor, but to me, it's missing something. There's a je ne sais quoi about being forced to enjoy yourself in real life with other people. Even at my lowest, just having locals as a consistent centralizing force, a routine, was irreplaceable. And even if the winds of change blow away from paper, I'll be playing whatever format I can in real life until I can't. You've got to.
Good video. Again, yeah, like, a lot of what makes Yu-Gi-Oh! Very, I don't know, somewhat special to me is that not only am I able to, like, you know, communicate with people in a real life setting and whatever, but also the fact that it's, for a very long time, it was the only reason I ever had to leave my house that wasn't groceries or the gym. You know what I mean? It was just kind of a way for me to, like, force myself to be like, all right, Stevie, you gotta go outside. You gotta interact with people. It's just something you have to do. You've got to. And I'm really happy I made that decision.
Mono Blue Tron, demoing my deck that I played for my day 2 finish at the National NAWCQ.
What? It's him. Anyways, let me know what your guys' thoughts are on his overall little video essay. But that was really good. Oh, it was really good, really well put together. I agreed with almost every single point. Actually, I do agree with every single point. 10 out of 10 essay. Absolute cinema. Let me know if you guys play Paper. What are your guys' thoughts on it? Blah, 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 blah. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye forever.